today for the second of the Koreo Prize interviews with our judges. So we're here with Vicky Sleight. Thank you very much for having us in your offices.
Thank you.
Vicky is CEO and founder of the Perfect Ltd. So today we're going to just talk about the Koreo Prize and its importance, and also a bit around your journey in your career and how you got into the kind of social change space. So could you give us a brief introduction to yourself?
Yes, thank you very much. I'd just like to say I'm really excited to be part of Koreo Prize. So I'm Vicky Sleight, and as you mentioned, I'm the founder and CEO of Perfect Ltd. I'm also a certified GCologist for the GC Index, and I created an initiative on behalf of the mobile industry back in 2012 called GSMA Connected Women, which was about getting the mobile industry on board with accelerating the female digital economy, and not just for women that worked in tech and mobile, but also to look at the pipeline. So I've done a lot of work with young girls and young boys as well, particularly through other initiatives like the ITU Girls and ICT Day, which have been some of the most rewarding events that I've ever done. Because of what you get out of it with these young people. And also I am a campaign co-founder for What Women Want 2.0, and I'm also on the advisory board for National Mentoring Day, which is run by a lady called Chelsea Baker. It's 2 years old now, and National Mentoring Day is October 27th. And I'm also a partner for GTWN, which is Global Telecom Women's Network. So.
Can you briefly explain what a GTologist is?
A GCologist. So the GC Index was born out of the need for corporates to identify who their game-changing individuals are, and to allow them, to enable them to be able to create game-changing teams. So it's an online questionnaire that was created working with Duke University and Cambridge University and corporate and clinical psychologists. And it's the first organometric of its kind which allows companies to identify those individuals, not who can just change the game, but actually how and who contributes to a game-changing idea. So it's a fantastic tool as businesses look at going through transformational change and helping them to do that, and to put those teams together to get to scale quicker. And for me, what's really important about this tool is that it goes beyond diversity. So it's about how, it doesn't matter who you are, it's about how you contribute to a game-changing idea.
Lovely. And what does the Perfect Ltd do?
So I created the Perfect Ltd because I wanted to create a platform to be able to work with businesses, to be able to look at diversity, and also to use technology and innovation to create solutions for the challenges that they faced. And also if we look at diversity, and there's business cases now and gender equality, the business case is there for, if you want to address the marketplace, whether it's with a product or a service, it's a very diverse market. So those corporates and companies and entrepreneurs that are successful are the ones that have those diverse teams, so diversity of thought, diversity of perspectives, rather than just one perspective and one thought. And that's what I wanted to create, and I wanted to be able to continue through my work to carry on with learning more about diversity, as well as driving thought for change.
And what's the story behind your career and the position that you're in now, and what kind of drew you into this current space? Yeah,
so I've been in telecoms tech for around 18 years. I started out actually after university. I went off travelling, and then I came back panicking about what I was going to do with my career. And I actually started in sales promotion back in Yorkshire, working for a marketing agency with clients that were multiple grocer retailers. And then through that, I wanted to do marketing. I wanted to become a marketeer. And then through that, I then got into telecoms, and they hired me because of my marketing and sales promotional skills to look at increasing use of value-added services. And looking back to those days, value-added services in mobile were increasing usage of voicemail, text messaging. There was no such thing as a smartphone then, so I really am showing my age now. And so from that, I then wanted to grow, and I moved into handset manufacturer. So I went to work for Motorola, where I wanted to get a bit more technical, and I ended up running the product marketing team for EMEA, for Europe, Middle East and Africa. And I started, for me it was all about change. I've always been a change agent, and this is just one of those things that you discover as you move along, and had I had something like the GC Index to tell me I was a game changer. So I wanted the company, from a product marketing perspective, to start talking about experiences rather than shifting boxes of phones. So, what kind of experience was it? Was it, if it's feature phone, was it a fashion phone? And then from there, I continued on in the mobile industry and ended up working for the Association for the Industry, where I was senior director for membership. So I grew the membership to what it is today. And I was fortunate enough along the way to have had some great mentors and some great bosses. And this helped me a lot, and I think that's why it's important. I realised very, very early on in my career how important it is to have a mentor. You don't just need to have one mentor for life. I've actually got two, and that's both male and female. And I've asked for their support along the way and guidance, and it's been of real use to me. And I've also tried to give that back, and I have given that back. I've not only mentored young men and young women, but I've also championed them. And I think this is really important to give back. And I think you're in a privileged position when, even if it's just somebody that's coming to work for you for a week. And I had a story recently where one of the girls who'd worked with me for a week back in my Motorola days, and her father contacted me and said she still remembers you and says, I'll never forget those days working with Vicky. She showed me what was possible. And that for me was a really good feeling, and that's something that inspires me, is hearing and seeing how well people have done, and giving them those opportunities to be able to grow, and actually challenging the norm for them and making them see the possibilities. And ending up where I am today as well. I've spent a lot of time in Africa. I'm very inspired by Africa, and seeing what mobile technology has done over there for, in terms of not just women, but actually it gives them access to life-changing services, life-enhancing services. You teach a woman to read in a small village, she'll teach the rest of the village. And it gives them a greater access to education and to health, and also to entrepreneurial opportunities. So I guess, it's been quite a journey, and it's been a great journey, and here I am now, and
So you mentioned taking inspiration from Africa and the usage of mobile phones over there. And what else do you take inspiration from?
So I've always been ambitious. I've learned from the people around me, and I love learning from young people, and also just the future of technology and how quickly it's moved on. When I look back at my own journey, even I remember once doing a desk drop around the Motorola sales teams, because I was like, wow, you can do GPS on a phone, and trying to convince them that this was, something that needed to happen. So when it comes to the future of how the world works, and how it's going to work, that's what inspires me. And I've from a young age, I've been inspired by books, and then these days it's reading about what's happening within the industry, and actually providing thought leadership and being able to do that, and that inspires me.
Lovely. So moving on to think about the Koreo Prize in today's current context, do you think that the UN global goals that it's based upon are important to the UK, considering that they were based in a it's in the name, like the global setting. And how do we translate that into a UK context?
Yes, I mean the global goals are of course relevant to UK because we all have these problems in our societies, and we need to increase awareness amongst young people. The young people of today are the leaders and innovators of tomorrow, and through education and increasing their awareness of these goals, they're the ones that are going to come up with the solutions. And you know, my focus obviously gender diversity, but this also greatly links to education and giving young people access to education, and not everybody has that access. Then it gives them the tools that they need to be able to contribute. And I think it's great that with the Global Sustainable Goals, that they are being closely linked to young people. And I think that's super important because they're the ones who it's affecting more so and will continue to affect. And getting their innovative and new ideas through, I think is super important and super exciting.
So this next question is kind of a development on what you were just talking about, but kind of, do you think that young people care about the goals and what they stand for? But you spoke about the goals being important for young people, but how can young people take the goals and kind of push them further?
Yeah. If you look at all the research that's been done, not just on millennials, which obviously they're a little bit older, but also the generations after them, the one thing that they want to be able to do is to have impact, whatever that may mean for each separate individual. They want to have impact. It's very important to them. So I think they do care. They're curious. They want to make change. And so I think in terms of caring about it, if we could give them the education so that which is what the Koreo Prize is doing, then they will want to do something about it. And I think the number of submissions that we look like we're getting so far really shows that, and I'm super excited to see them.
Absolutely. So Koreo took the global goals, the 17 global goals, and translated them into like a 6, which we felt were the most, through research and talking to people, were the most pressing to UK society. Which of the 6 that we're talking about would you feel strongly around? I'll remind you because they're a bit difficult to remember. But we've got social mobility, community resilience, well-being, social housing, food security, and gender equality.
Yeah, well, gender equality obviously for me is where my experience and my background is, so that is very important to me. With the gender equality comes the education, but also from a UK perspective is the housing as well. And I think the welfare within our society is of super importance to me, because I think they're all so very closely linked. And I think not only will the education with it happening in the UK help that generation, and I think that's the great job that Koreo Prize is doing, but actually should also help with the understanding on a global level, because at the end of the day they are global goals. So I think allowing those young people to start here and understanding what's going on in society across all the goals, because to be honest, I can pick gender equality because that's where, that's a passion of mine, but they're all equally as important. So it's really hard just to pick kind of another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, we'll be able to change society not just in the UK, but actually on a global level when there is access to all-inclusive education for all.
And that understanding from a really like storytelling and human point of view as well, not just like hard facts and data. Yeah, and
I think that's the other thing where Koreo Prize is really different in terms of what it's doing. And I think allowing all those different forms of all this, of what form the submissions can come in, but actually from a storytelling point of view, I think it allows for creativity as well as thought, and it will give us diversity of thought as well and perspective.
Absolutely. Why did you want to get involved with the prize?
I wanted to get involved with the prize because when the sustainable goals were first launched, from a society point of view and on a global level, they are important. So for me, being allowed to further work with young people as well, and see that creativity that comes out, and also the possible solutions. So for me, I'm super excited to be involved with Koreo, and super appreciative that I've been asked to be involved.
We're really happy to have you on board.
Yes, thank you.
What do you think, well, you've sort of answered it in your previous answers, but with the Koreo Prize in today's setting, what do you think makes it particularly relevant?
In today's setting, if I take gender equality for example, if we carry on as we are, and there's a number of initiatives around the globe, and let's take the UK as we're talking about the UK as an example. It'll be 100 years if we don't do something else. It'll be 100 years before there is that gender equality. So although there's lots of initiatives, it needs moving further on, and I think it's relevant because, like I say, the young people are the leaders of tomorrow. So for them to be involved and start looking at solutions, I think that's where where that relativity comes in. And I'm super excited to see what they're going to come up with. I mean, I really honestly can't wait to see the submissions. But yeah, so that for me is... What
would you hope to see out of the submissions if you were watching a
I can't wait. As I know I keep repeating myself, but I can't wait. I want to see creativity. I want to be inspired. I want to see new ideas, new solutions, from the storytelling. And I really, want to be inspired to be able to go, want to be able to meet some of these young people that are making those submissions. And I think looking at it long term, it would be great if we can track, what's happening with some of these young people, because I look forward to seeing them grow into the leaders of tomorrow. And to see how, I know there's the prize of the cash and also the internships and the possibilities, but I want to see kind of what they come up with, be inspired by it, but also to see what's implemented. And I think the idea of having this archive is going to be great because we'll be able to look back on it, but also to help support these young people that are doing these submissions, and look at getting them together and getting because I think I've learned a lot from young people, so I really want to learn something, so I'm excited about that as well.
Absolutely. Great, well thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very
much.
And
for more information about the Koreo Prize, you can check out our website www.koreo.co.